decided for over in Asia, except for a small bit of admin, of course, as of the nations prepare for Qatar 2022. South Korea there, Japan are there, Saudi Arabia there, but who else could actually make it? We'll take a look next. Prediction video today with photo match number 10 over in the AFC Asian Qualifiers over in Asia for, of course, World Cup 2022 in Qatar. We'll get to that in just one second. If you're new, smash your subscribe and hit the bang for all things World Cup related, Black Rose related, World Cup qualifying out in Asia related. We got it all here, boys. Under one Ruski. That's right, of course. We know Japan have made it, Iran have made it, South Korea have made it, and Saudi Arabia have made it. Those four nations are there. Of course, who's going to make it to the playoffs? Of course, to see who can make a fifth nation from Asia to go to Qatar 2022. I think Australia have sealed a berth, but we don't know who else. We'll take a look at all of it in a minute. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They're the patrons, guys. Thank you for 11, of course, behind the scenes. You know who you are. But anyway, let's get cracking and have a look at how we all got on last time around then. Here are those games. South Korea picked up a 2-0 win over Iran. I went with the 2-0 win myself. Lebanon got beat by Syria. Comfortable win there for Syria. 3-0 win for them as well. Iraq, 1-0 winners over UAE. That's right. A bit of a surprise in my eyes on that one. And Australia did get stumped, like cricket stumped, 2-0 by Japan at home. So that was their World Cup qualifying automatic berths knocked on its head. Japan got themselves through and looked the real deal as well. Vietnam, of course, got a nice result against, no, they didn't. They got beat by Oman. 1-0 win for Oman. And China picked up a draw against Saudi Arabia, who were already through as well, so maybe mixing it up a little bit for Saudi Arabia. This is what the table looks like. In fact, I don't even know if we're going to see the table here. Jimmy Watton up there, Shane O'Donnell with 4 bins on the board there. Well done to you guys. I don't know if I did put the table in there, but anyway, this is the main prediction league then for you. Shepherd 32 points on the board, Eman Hussein with 32, and Winky there with third 30 points. That's of course the Pickaroo stuff. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. So as you can see here, South Korea of course qualified, so Iran quite comfortably as well. There is still a small matter of who's going to be in that third spot in there, and realistically you're looking at this 3 nations that still could do it, but probably between Iraq and UAE. I'm just having a quick look at who has to play who, and yes, it's looking quite awkward for the likes of UAE and Lebanon as well. They've got difficult matches up against, so it's really Iraq's to lose here. As for in the Group B there, Japan and Saudi Arabia also go through quite comfortably in the end as well, with Australia providing a bit of fight, but of course they got themselves put in a bit of a bind last time around as they lost to Japan. So those two are through. Australia are there. They're already there. They can take it easy against in their match against Saudi Arabia, but of course preparing for a playoff, an intercontinental playoff with of course a South American team. I think there might be an Oceania team in there. It's going to be interesting. I think 2 teams can come out of that. I don't know. That's something to look forward to. Anyway, but these are the games, of course. So we're going to jump in the deep end straight away with Iran up against Lebanon, of course, coming at you again, taking place on the 29th of March, of course, over in the Emirates Stadium. And now played the 5 times since 2012. 4 wins for Iran, 1 win for Lebanon, and 0 draws. Just 1 defeat the past 6 though for Iran right now, 75% form. Of course, Lebanon though, just 1 win and 6 for them, 25% form for them at the moment. Of course, the biggest win for Iran over Lebanon was a 5-0 win. The biggest win in their way was a 1-0 win. In fact, Lebanon just scored 3 goals compared to Iran's 15 over the course of those 5 games. Works out around about 3 goals game ratio for Iran, a 0.6 goals game ratio for Lebanon. Of course, Lebanon, of course, did lose the reverse fixture in Lebanon. That was back in November 2021, and last the picture in Iran was a 4-0 win for Iran back in June 2013. Iran, of course, coming to on the back of that 2-0 loss against Korea, and of course Lebanon with a 3-0 loss against Syria, which of course dented their playoff hopes. Of course, the odds I don't think I got odds on this one, so we're going to go with my gut, and my gut says, of course, Iran, even if they are playing a second string team, should have too much in the tank here to beat Lebanon. So 1-0 win for Iran for me on this one. What about you? Let me know in the comments section down below. Next, of course, we have a UAE up against South Korea. Of course, UAE need to win this if they want to compete for that playoff berth. Now, these two sides have played 7 times, 2008, just 1 win for UAE, 6 wins for South Korea, and 0 draws, of course. Just 2 defeats, so 2 wins in the last 6 for UAE, 33% form up against the Korea side, who have won the last 7 games. In fact, they haven't lost in the last 14 games, 100% form for them at the moment. Of course, biggest win for Korea over UAE was a 3-0 win. The biggest win there, other way, was a 1-0 win. And UAE have just scored 3 goals compared to South Korea's 14 over the course of those 7 games. Works out around about 2 goals game ratio for South Korea and just 0.43 goals game ratio for UAE. Of course, last time I played in the United Arab Emirates was a 2-0 win for Korea. That was back in November 11th, 2011. I was on the 11th, 2011. Of course, the reverse fixture, of course, was in Korea. I was on the 11th, 2021, 10 years later. Wow. Of course, Korea picked up a 2-0 win over Iran. Haven't conceded a goal in 4 games, of course. They haven't conceded a goal in 5 of the last 5 qualifying games either. As for UAE, they haven't scored in 2 games. So, yeah, we kind of think where we're going to go on this one as well. So, no odds on this one. Of course, but I do anticipate South Korea to win this one, 2-0 win, and again, put UAE in a bit of a bind, and maybe... I don't know if they can lose and still qualify. I don't know. So next up, of course, we have Syria up against Iraq. Let's get into this one now. Over in Syria, now these two sides, of course, play each other according to minus 5 times 2012, 1 win apiece, and 3 draws, of course. Syria, though, picking up 2 wins in the last 6, 33% form, up against Iraq side, who are unbeaten the last 2, just 2 defeats the past 6 of them, 42% form for them at the moment, just 1 win in 6, if you want to look at it a different way. Of course, last time in Syria, it was a 0-0 draw, and of course, previously, the reverse fixture, of course, in Iraq was a 1-1 draw back in November. Of course, Iraq picking up a 1-0 win over UAE last time around, of course, Syria with a 3-0 win over Lebanon last time around. Again, I don't think I've got any odds on this one, of course, over in Syria, a difficult one to go to back here. I'm going to go back. I'm back in Iraq, believe it or not, with a 1-0 win for them on the road. And again, that could be enough for them to nick the 3rd spot and get themselves into the playoff and keep their distant World Cup dreams alive. Into the Group B now, I believe it's Japan up against Vietnam. That's right. Let's get into the deep end coming at you on Tuesday, March 29th. Played each other 4 times in 2007. 4 wins Japan, nothing for Vietnam, and 0 draws. Japan, though, haven't lost in the last 6 games. 100% form for them. Of course, as up against Vietnam side, just 1 win in 5 for them. 42% form for them at the moment. Of course, Japan's biggest win over Vietnam was a 4-1 win. They've scored 7 goals compared to Vietnam, just 1 over the course of those 4 games. Works out around 0.25 goal game ratio for Vietnam, a 1.75 goals game ratio for Japan. Of course, taking place at the Satamina Stadium 2002, and again on the 29th of March. Of course, last time they played each other in Japan was a 1-0 win for Japan. That was back in October 2011. The reverse fixture, of course, in Vietnam was a 1-0 win for Japan as well. So Japan, over the last 3 games against Vietnam, haven't conceded a goal, so 3 clean sheets on the spin. And of course, they come to this on the back of a 2-0 win over Australia, which makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clean sheets on the bounce. As for Vietnam, of course, they picked up a loss against Oman, and of course, I do have odds for this game, surprisingly. 7-1 on as your Japan, 6-1 as your draw, 20-1 as your long shots. That's Vietnam. Back, of course, the Japanese here with a 2-0 win for them to take the 3 points, and of course, look good as they enter Qatar 2022. Oman up against China, of course, got odds on this one as well. Of course, doesn't really matter. I think this game is a dead rubber. Nothing really can happen from this. I don't think anyway. Played each other 3 times, 2006, 1 win apiece, and 1 draw. Of course, Oman back-to-back games now without a defeat. 42% form for them. Up against the China side, who of course haven't won in the last 6 games. 25% form for them at the moment. The biggest win for China over Oman was a 2-1 win. The biggest win in the way was a 3-1 win. In fact, Oman have scored 5 goals compared to China's 4 over the course of those 3 games. It works out around about 1.67 goals game ratio for Oman and 1.33 goals game ratio for China. Last time I played each other in Oman, it was a 3-1 win for Oman back in December 2008. The reverse fixture, of course, in China was a 1-1 draw back in November. Of course, China picked up a draw against Saudi Arabia last time around. Of course, Oman picking up a 1-0 win over Vietnam, and they're actually unbeaten in 2 now. Of course, drawing with Australia and then beating Vietnam as well. The odds here, I've got odds on this one. We have 20-17 on as your Oman. They are your favourites. 13-5 is your draw, and 16-5 is your visitors. That's China. They're not going to get this one. Oman with a win, and of course, it doesn't really matter. They can't do nothing with it. And then finally, wrapping up, we do have, of course, Australia going to Saudi Arabia. And again, dead rubber here, but of course, important just to get wheels in some legs, perhaps. I don't even know. Miles under some legs. There we go. Played each other 6 times to 11. No wins to Saudi Arabia, 4 wins to Australia, and 2 draws. Just 1 win and 6 though for Saudi Arabia right now. 33% for up against the Australia side. Just 1 defeated pass. 5 for them, but just 1 win and 6, 42% form for them as well, drawing 2 mini games at the moment. The biggest win over Saudi Arabia was a 4-2 win. They've scored 15 goals compared to Saudi Arabia's 9 over the course of those 6 games. Works out around about 2.5 goals game ratio for Australia, a 1.5 goal game ratio for Saudi Arabia. Last time played in Saudi Arabia was a 2-2 draw back in, of course, October 2016. The reverse fixture in Down Under was a 0-0 draw back in November 2021. Of course, Australia did lose to Japan, 2-0 loss, of course, and China picked up a draw against Saudi Arabia. Got no odds here. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Saudi Arabia back at home. Australia probably won't give too much of a sniff about this one because they're going to be prepping for that intercontinental playoff, of course, which I think takes place in May or June. I don't even know. But anyway, regardless of all that, we will be live, of course, coming at you Friday for the draw with the Asian teams, of course, involved, and question marks maybe for the remaining team as well. But anyway, if you want to predict this league, of course, cut before WC 22 Asia. That's the way to do it. But until then, guys, smash the thumbs up, smash the old subscribe, check the links down below on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, also Patreon. But join me live Friday, April the 1st. So, not April Fool's Day. It is April Fool's Day, but I'll be live, and hopefully you'll be there with me. But until then, dudes, smash the thumbs up, smash the subscribe. See you soon. Until then, dudes, we're done right now.